Hey team, in this video we're going to be looking at the top 2 visual signaling devices and techniques that we have available to us both in the military and out in the civilian market. I'm going to introduce to you a third one. We're going to see how well it works during the daytime. It is about 60 degrees. It is heavily overcast. So one of these devices, we'll see how tough it is when we do have some clouds. I'm going to be assisted today in today's demonstration by both rigs as well as my Skydio-2 drone. So let's get this thing started. The first one that we're going to look at is the signal mirror. This one is brought to us by Brigade DM. Brought to us. All this stuff is my own hard-earned money. So this just happens to be who manufactured it. What I will say is, if you're going to use some sort of a signaling mirror, you could use any sort of reflective surface, right? You could use a phone surface. You could use tinfoil. There's all kinds of things you can do. This just happens to be extremely effective, right? Extremely reflective, and because it is so reflective, it is effective. So we want to make sure that we protect this, especially if we're working in a non-permissive environment. We don't want to make sure that there's any chance of it coming out and giving your position away. Does that make sense? So you want to keep it in a sleeve and then make sure that you just protect it from scratches and things of this nature. So we're going to get the Skydio-2 drone put up in the air. We're going to see how far away and if this thing is actually effective. I'm in a decent sized prairie here, so it should be a good source to do that. The second item that we're going to take a look at is the VS17 panel. This thing is infamous and it's had its use quite some time, both in country and downrange, to communicate effectively with helicopters and planes. So we're going to see how effective this is as well. And then the third item that we're going to look at today is actually a laser pointer. And this is not a cheap laser pointer. This is a Marathon. This thing goes for a couple $100. And I wish my camera worked a little bit better at night, as well as my drone. I wish I could fly it at night to see how well this works, because the vision, that green light actually works and is effective using NVD. So this thing is crazy effective at night, and they say it's seen upwards of 2 miles away. So I don't have a way to test that capability, but man, that thing is absolutely phenomenal. So it's going to be very similar to using the signal mirror, but we'll see if we can't get this thing locked in on the camera. Right, and again, we're going to be using the Skydio-2 to actually be our distant end and see if we can't get a message and signal where we are to this drone. When we are using a signal mirror, we want to make sure that we understand whether we're working in a permissive environment or a non-permissive environment. If it's absolutely 100% friendly and permissive environment, you can just go absolutely hog wild crazy with this thing. If there's any sort of doubt as far as whether you're in a permissive environment or not, then you want to make sure that you protect the lens of this thing as much as you can, and make sure that you're only aiming in the direction and at the location that you want to be aiming this at. So we can use some aiming stakes, if you will. I have 2 stakes out in front of me, right? And then so basically what I've set up is basically, if you can think of it as a rifle. So the distant end is my target, who I'm trying to get the message to. And then I have that front sight post, I have a rear sight post, and then I have my eyeball. And once I get my eyeball, front sight, and rear sight in alignment on top of my target, then I can start to use this thing to send a message. You can, use the L shape. What I can do is I can put my hand up, and then I can essentially conceal that reflective nature out in front of me. And so it's on my hands. So once I get my target in sight, then I can just bring it over. And just like that, my sunlight's gone. So that's basically how we're going to use this. The VS17 panel, good old Army signal corps. This thing is about 6 feet long by 2 feet. You have a lot of grommets and tie-outs to use, so that you can put this on top of a pack. You can put it on top of a vehicle. Again, you have all these reinforced tie-outs here, right in the middle. And then at the end, you also have snaps that can be utilized, different configurations. Again, it can be put on the ground, be put on a vehicle, it can be put on a pack, whatever it is that you need to secure it to. And then you have 2 sides that can be used. You have a bright orange side and then you have a pink side. So what we're going to do with the VS17 panel is we're going to actually get it secured on the tailgate or the toolbox of my truck, and then we're going to get the drone up in the sky and we're going to fly over, and then we'll see how effective it is. We'll also just use it as a signaling method as such, right? And we'll see how well it's effective out at a couple hundred feet away. Get this thing all calibrated up, and then we'll get this thing up into the sky, ready to fly. All right, so just had to move out a little bit, and we're gonna move her out. All right, so visual signals are any means of communication that requires sight and can be used to transmit prearranged messages rapidly over short distances. This includes devices and means used for recognition and identification of friendly forces. The most common types, of course, are visual signals are hand and arm signals, flag, pyro, and air-to-ground signals. I raised it up so I could see it above the trees. I'm gonna bring her back down and put her right in line with that tree right there. Right now we're 700 feet away, 59 feet, and we're gonna swing her around, and now we're looking right back at us. Don't have the clouds in cover, so I'm gonna see if this is visible at all. Right, and so at the same location, because I can see the drone, visual signals have certain limitations built into them, right? The range and reliability of visual communications are significantly reduced during periods of poor visibility or when terrain restricts observation. Of course, they can be misunderstood, and they are vulnerable to enemy interception and may be used for deception purposes. Here in my line of sight, and I'm just trying to kind of raising it, right? So we'll try the panel again. Here's orange side. Here's the pink side. So I think the really good thing about doing this in this environment with this camera is it is such a wide angle lens. Although it's only a few hundred feet away, it's actually simulating like it's a lot further. So I've lost my sunlight. What we're gonna do is we're gonna step out here at least to the open so I have as much sunlight as I can possibly work with. Oh, here we go. Here we go. We got decent reflection. Of course, that thing's not moving. It's just a stationary target. But even with it being overcast the way that it is, I'm still getting some decent reflection, right? I mean, that's what the clouds look like right now. So it's really overcast. So I had just a brief second piercing even through some of those clouds of being able to do something. So what we're going to do is I'm 1,000 feet away, looking at our position. Oh, I see her. I see it. Making the smallest of V notches. Such a gamble. VS17 panel orange. VS17 panel. Now we're orange. And I got decent light. That's got to be making it, man. All right, so we're gonna fly the drone back over us, and then we'll see if we can't get this VS17 panel secured on the truck and see what it looks like from 400 feet up in the sky. $425 feet up in the air, 600 feet away. Oh yeah, look at that. So much more visible than my truck. That is insane, isn't it? Here's what it looks like coming out from the trees. Oh yeah. The panel system is a method used to communicate to a limited degree with aircraft by displaying panels on the ground. Right, and so the one that we're looking at today is a VS17 panel. It is a marking and identifying panel, and it's made using fluorescent colors. The panels are used to mark positions and identify friendly units or locations or personnel or equipment. Most of the time when you are using panels, they're going to be used in a system with multiple panels to be able to display different messages. So the VS17 panel is a high-vis panel. It's used by the U.S. military to properly identify or be identified by adjacent units and overhead flying aircraft. The panels come in multiple sizes and configurations, and in general they have two high-vis colors and multiple tie-down points. The history of the VS17 panel dates back to the Gulf War to help reduce the number of friendly fire incidents. Since the Gulf War, the VS17 panel has become a regular part of troop issue and is used heavily around the world as a unit-level SOP for identifying troops. I will say this is kind of a last note that a couple things. One, you need to have a proper pace plan for your communications. This includes all of your signaling measures that you're going to use, whether it's just in your team or in your organic team, or whether you're trying to communicate to an adjacent unit. Maybe it's another civilian organization, whatever the case is, right? So have some different means and methods put in there, and then get out and dadgum rehearse it. If you enjoyed the content of it, make sure you do go ahead and like it. Consider sharing this out with a battle buddy or a friend, and we'll just continue to keep this conversation growing and make it authentic and as real as we can, man. I appreciate all you guys, every single one of y'all. You stay out there, you keep grinding, and you stay stoked.